begin our Hoon Dok Hae by offering one Sunday vow on Lord Chupan. 하나님과 정부님의 저희 대표의 경배, 바로 our most beloved Heavenly Parents, today, Sunday, October 12, 2014. We pray that today would be a victorious and wonderful and joyous day for our two parents. With our true mother who is moving the earth while our Father moving to heaven. We pray that all true children would be united with our true mother and healthy with the progress here on this earth. And we pray for their protection, their good health, and their success always in providing support to our true mother. We pray as well for the true grandchildren and all the leaders all over the world, especially in the international headquarters in Pyongyang, Korea. We pray for our elder sister, Sanjin, and her husband, In Suk Min, who is now heading the World Mission Headquarters there. And we pray as well all the umbrella organizations like the UPF, the United Federation for World Peace, and also the chairman there of UPF, Dr. Chamchik, and all the international vice presidents like Reverend Thomas Wang and others, and all the continental leaders all over the world, especially our own here for North America and the Caribbean, Archbishop Kim and his family, and we pray as well for all the national leaders all over the world, especially here in America, Reverend and Dr. Michael Balcom and his wife Fumi San and their children, and his staff there at 403rd Street in New York, and all the districts and regions over the world. We pray for our district leader, Reverend Ernest Patton, and his wife Keiko Patton. And we pray as well for their children. And we pray for all pastors and leaders all over the world, especially here in the Mid-Atlantic area. We pray for Reverend James Stewart and his wife Keely and their children, and all the members there in Dawson, Maryland, and in Norfolk, Virginia. We pray for Reverend Akira Ota and his family, and in Richmond, Virginia, we pray for Father Adrian Bayo, his wife Diana San, and the congregation there. And in Northern Virginia, we pray for the pastor there, Hazel June, and the congregation there. We pray for their success always. As we pray also for the Maryland area, we pray for Reverend Milton Stevens and his wife, and co-pastors like Reverend Jim Boothby, Mrs. Jones, and others. We pray for their success always, and we pray that we can even surpass their goals as we pray for the Washington D.C. area, where the ACLC chairman resides with his wife, Archbishop Augustus Collins. We pray for their success always as he leads and really transforms, and many transform and invite many clergy and all the religious people here in America. We pray for their success always, as we pray for our pastor, Reverend Zagery Oliver, and his wife Fumi San and daughter Diane, and all the people in the council, and all the brothers and sisters, with the blessed children who are connecting here in the Hoon Dok Hae and connecting to our church here at the Washington Family Church. We pray for their safety always, their success, prosperity, and good health. And we pray all this in all our names, and in my name, Athanasius Francis, Catalan, blessed and finder. Aju, aju, aju. Good morning. We're still reading the World Scriptures, and we're now on page 574, and we have a new topic: decision. The moral life is a purposeful life. It requires a decision. Please do not become good automatically. Those who still drift through life are liable to drown in its evil currents. At every turn, we encounter two paths: the better and the worse. And it is our responsibility to choose between them. The Scriptures describe it as a decision between life and death, between the narrow gate and the broad road, or between two masters. Father Moon teaches that each person stands in the midway position, pulled in two directions by the opposing powers of good and evil. It is a contest between God, who speaks to us through the conscience, and Satan, who prompts us to satisfy our self-centered desires. Under these difficult circumstances, it is up to each of us to choose our path and keep to it. Man always stands at the crossroads of good and evil. This is from Precepts 18, Perfect Liberty, Kyodan. Both the good and the pleasant present themselves to a man. The calm soul examines them well and discriminates. Yea, he prefers the good to the pleasant. But the fool chooses the pleasant out of greed and avarice. This is from Katha Upanishad 1.2.2 from Hinduism. Surely the path that leads to worldly gain is one, and the path that leads to Nibbana is another. Understanding this, the bhikkhu, the disciple of the Buddha, should not rejoice in worldly favors, but cultivate detachment. This is from Dhammapada 75, Buddhism. Now, no one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and Mammon. Matthew 6, verse 24. God puts forth a parable. A man belonging to many partners at variance with each other, and a man belonging entirely to one master. Are those two equal in comparison? This is from the Quran, Surah 39, verse 29. Behold, I, open and close bracket, Moses, set before you this day a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey this commandment of the Lord your God, which I command you this day, and the curse, if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside from the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods. And this is from Deuteronomy 11, verses 26 to 28. Hear with your ears that which is the sovereign good. With a clear mind, look upon the two sides, between each man must choose for himself, watchful beforehand, that the great test may be accomplished in our favor. New at the beginning, the twin spirits have declared their nature, the better and the evil. In thought and word and deed, and between the two, the wise ones choose well, not so the foolish. This is from Avesta Yasna 30, verses 2 to 3. Zoroastrianism. Enter from the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. And this is from Matthew 7, verses 13 to 14. Evil and good are not equal, even though the abundance of evil may amaze you. So heed God, you men of wits, so that you may prosper. This is from the Quran, Surah 5, verse 100. Have we not given him 2 eyes, and a tongue and 2 lips, and pointed out to him the 2 conspicuous ways? Yet he does not attempt the uphill path. What will make you understand what the uphill path is? It is to free a slave, as to feed in a time of hunger an orphan near of kin, or a poor man lying in the dust. Then he is of those who believe, who exhort one another to patience, and exhort one another to mercy. And this is from the Quran, Surah 90, verses 8 to 17. If by giving up a lesser happiness, one may behold a greater one, let the wise man give up the lesser happiness in consideration of the greater happiness. This is from Dhammapada 290, Buddhism. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy he goes and sells all he has and buys the field. The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who, on finding one pearl of great price, went and sold all he had and bought it. And this is from Matthew chapter 13, verses 44 to 46. And now we have the teachings of our Father, Reverend San Myung about decision. I am the crossing point of good and evil. And this is from a speech on November the 2nd, 1980. We live in a world where good and evil confront each other. Good and evil, each pulls our divided mind and body. Evil pulls us toward evil, and good pulls us toward good. Human beings stand midway between these two opposing forces. They become good or evil depending on which way they travel from the center line. You are wandering back and forth across this line, and this is from November 15, 1970. If the first human ancestors have not fallen, but had reached perfection and become one in heart with God, then they would have lived relating only with God. However, due to the fall, their fall, they joined in kingship of blood with Satan, which compelled them to deal with him as well. They found themselves in the midway position, a position between God and Satan, where they were relating with both. As a consequence, all their descendants are also in the midway position. How does God separate Satan from fallen people who stand in the midway position? Satan relates with them on the basis of his connection with them through lineage. Therefore, until people make a condition through which God can claim them as his own, there is no way God can restore them to the heavenly side. On the other hand, Satan acknowledges that God is the creator of human beings. Unless Satan finds some condition through which he can attack a fallen person, he also cannot arbitrarily claim him for his side. Therefore, a fallen person will go to God's side if he makes good conditions, and to Satan's side if he makes evil conditions. And this is from the exposition of the divine principle, Restoration 1.1. How do we cross over the dividing line between good and evil? Good abides where we live for others, and evil abides where we live centered on ourselves. If we look within our open and close bracket original mind, always tries to lead us towards good thought and good direction. It says, serve others, have an affectionate heart for others, sacrifice for others, live for others. Such is the path of goodness. And it is from chapter 65, 14, on a speech on November 13, 1972. If you act as your body desires, you are connected to hell. On the other hand, if you act as your mind wishes, you are connected to the kingdom of heaven. You alone are the dividing line between the kingdom of heaven and hell. And this is from a speech on February 3, 1991. Do you know what spiritual food is? Even when you are hungry, if you have to choose between spiritual food and physical food, you should feel that spiritual food is tastier than physical food. Then you can survive and stand on the side of God. Living your life based on spiritual power should be much more appetizing than the taste of life lived with physical power. And this is from a speech on May 4, 1984. Looking back at my youth, I remember how serious I was. I was at the point of deciding what to do with the rest of my life. At that crossroad, I knew that I should not let humanistic concerns determine my decision. Instead, I concluded that I had to make my decision in accordance with God's will. And this is from a speech in December 30, 1990. If I had not taken this path, surely I would be a powerful and respected man in some secular field. I would be recognized for my intelligence. I have the ability. I could have risen to leadership in a nation. Yet, instead, I chose a life filled with tears and sorrows. Ever since I came to know God, I have shed tears for Him. Do you think I'm not capable of avoiding persecution? Yet I endure and tolerate the persecution because I know God's situation. He has gone through far greater tribulations than mine. Do you think that when I was a young man, I did not have any personal dreams and ambitions? I certainly had great ambitions and dreams, but once I decided to go this way, I cut them off, and ever since I have never nursed any personal ambition. That is how I could become who I am today. And this is from God's Will and the World, the book, and is on. This was a speech on May 1, 1977. So now it's already 5:32. That ends our Hoon Dok Hae. Is there anybody who wants to share about our reading today, which is entitled Decision? Are you still all out there? Anyone who wants to share about the reading today?
Good morning, this is Diane.
Yes, Diane.
This is very remarkable, the thought I would share about the fact that he had maybe some personal dreams and desires that he then abandoned. It would be very interesting and wonderful to know more about his original self, his thoughts and dreams.
Yeah.
You know that we're going to discusses that in more detail. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I think this is it, We discuss about his ambitions. Yeah. So it's telling us that he has also, yes, personally.
He wanted to be an artist, and he doesn't talk a lot about that. But with his calligraphy, perhaps that was an extension of his original dream to work with art or whatever. Channeled his original interest in more providential ways. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, because he also says here that if we do cross in the dividing line between good and evil, if we you act as your body desires and you're connected to hell. On the other hand, if you act as your mind wishes, you're connected to the kingdom of heaven. So there's another passage here. Then, of course, in many other scriptures from other religions, it talks about the dividing line between good and evil, or the kingdom of heaven and hell. Anybody else? So I see a different way to spell out nirvana. From Buddhism, surely the path that leads to worldly gain is one, and the path that leads to nibbana, I think this is nirvana, is another. Understanding this, the bhikkhu, the disciple of Buddha, should not rejoice in worldly favors, but cultivate detachment. So there it is. It shows that the disciple of Buddha in other religions, they are not rejoicing in worldly favors, but they cultivate detachment. And even from the Quran, they mention here about God puts forth a parable. A man belonging to many parts at variance with each other, and a man belonging entirely to one master. Are those equal in comparison? I think it's not. And in the Bible, of course, this is very popular. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide open, and the way is easy that leads us to destruction. With those who enter by it are many, for the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. And this is from Matthew 7 verse 13 and 14. And I'd like to read that one that you decide for. Yes, I think we had it here. Our Father mentions that looking back at any youth, at my youth, not any, but my youth, I remember how serious I was. I was at the point of deciding what to do with the rest of my life. At the crossroads, I knew that I should not let humanistic concerns determine my decision. I think that's, some of these are his ambitions, personal ambitions and desires. Instead, I concluded that I had to make my decision in accordance with God's will. That is from a speech in December 13, 1990. So I think that's a little bit clear that he went the way that he, went to North Korea instead. People are going to South Korea because it's easier there. The narrow gate, I think, is hardship. He even went into prison because he was preaching in the place where they don't believe in God. And he stayed there he was imprisoned for 18 months in Pyongyang, near Pyongyang. And and meet his first disciples there in prison. So anybody else wants to share? And he has one more advice here also. How do we cross over the dividing line between good and evil? Good abides where we live for others, and evil abides where we live, centered on ourselves. If we look within our open and close bracket original mind, always good always tries to lead us towards good thoughts and good direction. It says, serve others, have an affectionate heart for others, sacrifice for others, live for others. Such is the path of goodness. From his speech on November 13, 1972. Yes, so if there's no other reflection, wise or otherwise, let's all rise and have unison prayer. Our most beloved Heavenly Parents, we're so thankful for guiding us here, for bringing us to the side of goodness always, with all the good angels and our good human ancestors, and all the good spirits that you have assigned for us. We pray that they continually and lovingly protect us and guide us to not only everlasting life, but the joyous life with you in this spiritual world. We pray that we can create one here, heaven, on earth, on earth. And we pray that with the Chungil book now happening, we pray that we can invite also our other people, our friends and relatives, on your side, the good side, which is God's side. And we pray that, as you have mentioned today, that many people are in the midway position, the descendants of the fall, who have original sin. We pray that the 7 billion people all over the world will be going to the side of good. And we pray that if more people will live for the sake of each other, this would be a better world to live in. And we pray that there will be peace within 2 brothers there in the Middle East and in Ukraine and many other parts of the world. We pray that now North and South Korea will easily be united, because their leadership is not even showing up in the parade and many celebrations. We pray that their number 2 man would relieve also have many meetings with South Korea for the eventual unification of North and South Korea. And we pray all of this in all our names and in my name, Athanasius Francis Secretary, blessed Central Family. Aju, Aju, Aju. 우리의 소원은 통일, 유매로 소원은 통일, 이모 성바쳐서 통일이요 오라. 이 교회 살리는 통일, 이 나라 찾는 통일, 통일이요 소라. 통일이요 오라. Good morning to you, our beloved true parents of heaven and earth and humankind. Good morning to the true children, true grandchildren, and all our brothers and sisters. Good morning. Good morning. So somebody is knocking on the door. Okay. Have a great and wonderful Sunday. See you. Yes. See you all.
Did you know who was giving the service this morning at Sunday service?
God bless you.